Hey, thanks for joining me. So, at a comic shop, just looking at a bunch of new stuff on the shelf, I thought that I'd pick up the final issue to part one, I guess, of Hush 2. Why not, right? I also picked up this issue of Spawn. Um, I've already done a video on this one. I guess it depends on which one I put out first. I haven't actually decided. But anyway, I've recorded the video. I haven't decided which order I'm going to put it out. But I just kind of decided that I wanted to pick up a couple of comics that are out recently and just kind of see how things are going in these books, just to, what's going on? What's it about? So I've done Spawn. Batman. Batman's a weird thing for me because I like Batman. I like the character. I like most of the movies that have been made about him. Um, there's something kind of interesting in all of them in varying degrees. Animated shows, like a lot of them. The character, there's been a lot of comics I've read where I like the character. I like Batman. Batman's a badass. Who doesn't like Batman on some level? He's pretty neat. And Jim Lee, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I have been nothing but one of the biggest fans of Jim Lee forever. In fact, I have sitting right next to me. Of course, they slipped and fell on the floor. Son of a bitch. Fuck. Ugh. These artist editions are heavy. God damn. Like, I've got the Jim Lee artist edition, like a lot of us do. I love his art. His stuff is so fantastic. It's been one of my favorite things since I was, the very early 90s when I first discovered him, when he was on X-Men drawing this stuff. Jim Lee could do no wrong. I loved his work. And then when I kind of understood how things went, Jim Lee combined with Scott Williams on inking and the way his art looks, the way that Scott Williams made Jim Lee's art pop. Such a huge fan. So I love Jim Lee and I love Batman, but for some reason in the fucking universe, I do not give a shit when Jim Lee draws Batman. I do not care. It is nothing I'm interested in. I collected the original Hush series. I have all the issues. I even picked up a black and white collection that I have Jim Lee sign. I got to meet him a couple of years ago and I had him sign that black and white book collection. But I don't give a shit when Jim Lee draws Batman. I just don't care. There's nothing there. I don't get why the math doesn't equate to an answer that makes any sense to me. I like Batman and I like Jim Lee. I do not like it when they're together. I'm like, fucking don't care. But I had a few bucks in my pocket and this is the final issue. So kind of like I was saying with Spawn when I was reviewing this, I have no idea what's been going on in the story building up to it. Not a clue. But I was just curious as to how does that how does that issue read? Which is the same concept for me here with Batman. Again, the final issue of part one of Hush 2. Again, I didn't care for the original Hush storyline. Like, it felt like it was like just the writer and artist taking the opportunity. Like, it's Jeff Loeb writing the original Hush series. You got Jim Lee. Like, you couldn't ask for a better artistic partner and a financial draw. Like, Jim Lee drawing Batman. And they had him go through the greatest hits. They had Batman run into every major character and do all kinds of cool shit. And, it was, as far as I understand, it was a pretty big success, but boy, do I not have any kind of like emotional connection to the story. Do not give a shit. And when they announced Hush 2, did not give a shit. Nope, not collecting it. I don't care. And then it started coming out, and a lot of friends who opinions I trust and kind of respect were saying that they were collecting Hush 2, and they're like, yeah, it's fucking boring. They're like, I'm not into this. Now, again, that depends on lots of factors. Everyone likes different things for different reasons. And I assume there's people out there that like it. But in my small circle, I was going to say in my small circle, I haven't heard anybody say that they like it. But, everyone's kind of just got a small group of friends who you talk to, and then you can kind of peruse the internet. But with my channel, I'm constantly making videos and I have interactions with quite a wide amount of people. I have over 8,000 subscribers. So I have a lot of feedback, but I don't know that anybody's enjoying this series. But obviously people are. But no one that I know has ever been like, this is great. Everyone's just been kind of like, whatever. And there were delays. And if you follow Jim Lee on social media, he's had some like health problems. If I remember correctly, I think the doctor has told him, because he's getting up there in age, that he was becoming pre-diabetic. And so he had to like change his lifestyle. He had to change his diet. He had to get some exercise. He had to kind of focus on his health. And it's delayed the drawing of the issue, because Jim Lee puts in a lot of hours. He says that he'd stay up super late into the morning drawing comic pages, which honestly most comic artists I know want to stay up super late. I know one guy who's up super early drawing comics, but he knows who he is. But most artists want to draw super late into the night, but I guess the doctors were telling him, like, you can't do that type of shit. You got to kind of get on a regular sleep schedule. You got to rest. You got to take care of yourself. So the book was delayed. So, all respect to Jim Lee. Hope he's okay. All that to be said, how does Batman number 163, I guess legacy numbering is 928. I guess that's what that's saying. Hush 2. You got the cover. There's Batman. There's some girl. There's Joker. There's Poison Ivy. It's obviously these covers, they're really leaning into like variant covers on these things. There's a whole pile of variant covers to these things. So that helps drive sales, I guess, right? So again, I fully acknowledge I have no idea what's been going on with the story up to this point. The thing that I'm kind of here to look at is Jim Lee's art. Like I was showing you, that artist edition, the comics he's done, the Uncanny X-Men run, like to this day, I look at those and I'm like, oh my God, this stuff looks so good. And there's almost nothing about his modern art here that I give a shit about. It's not interesting to me anymore. And I don't like that. For me, I don't get why my interest in Jim Lee's art is the same. And I feel like a big component, not the only one, but a big one, is that I don't give a shit about Batman drawn by Jim Lee. I give a shit about Batman when like Mark Silvestri draws him. I gave a shit about Batman when Tim Sale was drawing him. But Jim Lee on Batman, do not give a fuck. And I'm sorry, I hate his version of the Joker. That pointy nose, that pointy chin. I get it. It's kind of a characterization that fits with the guy, depending on who's doing him and how. But I do not like Jim Lee's Joker. I think it sucks. But artistically, like, everything's there. I understand the storytelling. I get what's going on. It's got Jim Lee anatomy. It's all there. But why is it boring and uninteresting to me? This is a me problem. I fully acknowledge that. You want to know what else is a problem? This Supergirl movie. No disrespect meant, but I feel like that movie's going to fucking bomb off its ass. Like, we'll revisit that come the end of this month, actually. I don't want it to bomb. Segue from Batman comic to Supergirl movie. The actress, whatever. The director, no idea who it is. I want Supergirl as a movie to succeed. I want all these movies to be good, and I would love to be wrong, but I bet you that movie's going to fucking suck. And it's going to bomb hard. It's going to lose a lot of money. But I will be happy to be made wrong. But I bet you I'm not. Anyway, back to the boring Batman comic. Batman, he's got his face right up to a gun that the Joker's holding. Batman pushes him back, holds him up. And of course, something with the storyline is that Batman has to team up with the villains for some reason, and the heroes, his Bat family, are after him. Again, I have no idea why, so I'm not going to even pretend to try to explain or understand the story. It just is what's going on. God, I hate his version of the Joker so bad. I'm guessing that's Killer Croc. Bane, obviously, I don't know who that is, unless that's Killer Croc, and I don't know. Poison Ivy, Bane, Joker. Is this Clayface? I bet you that's who that is. I was not expecting that face. I guess that's him. Scarecrow, Freeze. This version of Penguin, tell me if I'm wrong, correct me, but that looks like it's leaning into the Penguin TV show thing with Colin Farrell. Like, I kind of see that in there. Am I seeing that right? Am I crazy? I like it. I kind of dig that. I'm like, okay, that looks good. Also, I say this all the time. Does it list the creatives over here? Somewhere in here. Like, obviously, Jim Lee pencils. And colors are Alex Sinclair. I'm a fan of Alex Sinclair's coloring, but again, I've said this so often, I would rather see this in black and white. I would rather see this in just the raw black and white art, and I feel like I would like it a little bit more. But I also feel like if Jim Lee leaned into a more heavily shadowed, like his death blow kind of art style, I feel like that would be so much better. And another thing that I hate to say it, but Scott Williams inks are not what they used to be. And I hate to say that because Scott Williams has been a hardcore like workhorse with Jim Lee for decades. And of course, his inks look fantastic, but they carried a different look. And I have an understanding that he doesn't use a nib anymore like he used to. I think he just uses like pens, tech pens, and it doesn't give the same kind of like inking line that you get out of a Hunt 102 that gives it that kind of like that old school flashy Scott Williams ink line that looks so freaking good. Joseph Weems said recently in an interview with me, the inker Joe Weems, he said Scott Williams was like the godfather of an inking style that all these other artists adopted, and he doesn't kind of ink it that way anymore. And to me, to my eye, I can see a difference. And obviously it's still like, of course it's going to look good. It's Scott Williams, but it doesn't look the same. And I'm kind of like, can we get Joseph Weems inking Jim Lee? Can we get Richard Friend inking Jim Lee? Can we get Matt Banning or Jason Gorder? I feel really bad saying that, but I'm just trying to figure out why the art is not appealing to me. I don't know. That might be a hot take, and some of you might light me up telling me I'm a chucklehead for suggesting anything like that. But I see it as a guy who draws. I see that difference, and it's different, and the vibe is not the same anymore. But yeah, the Bat family, including Catwoman, she's part of them. They're all kind of like trying to get down to Batman, and we got to get him. We got to go rescue him, but Batman has to team up with the bad guys for some reason. That's a pretty epic overhead shot right there. I'm like, all right, that looks good. But the heroes get down there. Batwoman, Nightwing, I guess they have the Riddler with them because they talk to the Riddler a little bit later, and this guy's jumping down with the question mark on him. So I'm like, what the fuck happened to this version of the Riddler? And then I forget the girl, the whatever her name is. This chick. I forget her name. Because, I don't read these fucking comics. But they go down to get him, and Batman comes charging after them. And so they get in a fight, and Batman starts beating the piss out of all these guys. And what's her name? Whatever the hell her name is, swings a staff at him. Batman grabs it and snaps it. Nightwing, original Robin, right? That's Dick Grayson. He's like, this is not right. He stops Batgirl. He's like, stop, wait. He's too strong. That's not his fighting style. And Batgirl's like I care. And Nightwing says, no, I mean, that's not him. So they go to Nigma. That's Edward Nigma. Why is he there with them? Again, I don't know. If I read previous issues, it would explain it, so who cares? Nigma, what's going on is that question. When is Batman not a Batman? They basically find out. They get a little electrical device, put it on Batman and zap him. It's Clayface. It's a distraction. They zap him. Clayface falls into a puddle of vomit and shit. And meanwhile, Batman is being whisked away with the villains. And then they run into, I guess this is Jason Todd here. I don't know who the hell this fucking weirdo guy is here. And this is Hush. Now I go back and I'm like, I read the original Hush series. I'm like, who the hell was Hush anyway? And I'm like, was it that kid that was a friend with young Bruce Wayne. Why is he so deadly? Why is he such a threat? Again, I haven't read volume 2. I bet if I did, it would tell me. But if I also read volume 1 and had it, I have, but if it stuck with me on any level, I would know why Hush is such a threat. But I don't remember not a goddamn thing about him except he's in these stories. But I still don't fucking care. I don't care, except that he's so threatening and so bad, surrounded by all these villains. Joker, Scarecrow, Bane, Freeze, and Hush is the scariest one. Like, it's played up to be that way. Bane goes after him. Like, Bane, no, he wants you to come after him. And then the text says audio block on, and then whoever this goofball is, something says click, and then I don't know, he speaks and it says stop. I'm curious to who this guy is, but he can verbalize things and make you, I don't know. I don't get who he is or what he does, but he stops Bane in his tracks with, I guess, a word. I don't understand. Somebody will tell me, I'm sure. Batman's going to surrender to these guys. Hush is super badass. And then this guy, it says click, and he speaks, and it says down. So everything crashes down on top of the other bad guys to separate Batman from villains. And then Hush and Jason Todd and whoever the fuck. Gun in his face. Train shows up, I guess. I guess that's a train out of nowhere. Train is going to hit Jason Todd, and Batman ducks him out of the way, I guess, and Batman's still trying to appeal to Jason Todd's sense of being a hero. Like, you can be a hero. What, is he going to beat the shit out of him? That's kind of an okay shot. But then Hush gets him in a chokehold. Batman elbows him to the gut, socks him in the face, hits him upside the head. And Hush is like, you think you know my every move. So a blade comes out from Hush's wrist. Again, stopping, I'm like, there's all kinds of cool shit going on. I like the lighting going on with the art. It's powerful Jim Lee stuff, but I'm just like, I've seen this. I've seen this in the original Hush series. I've seen it in the All-Star Batman. In fact, I think All-Star Batman was better art-wise. Jim Lee was on some kind of like crazy artistic like spin out where he's just, I think he was trying to match Frank Miller's insane energy with big crazy shots and splash pages and crazy like dynamic stuff. Artistically, All-Star Batman is the best stuff Jim Lee's done on Batman, in my opinion. Art-wise. Story-wise, Frank Miller wrote a giant pile of shit. But when you kind of accept it, it's actually kind of fun if you just like, okay, this is a giant pile of shit. Let's just see how bad it can get. But this is all fine, but I'm kind of bored by it. And I don't get it. And here's the other thing. Here's also the hypocrisy of me. If Jim Lee were to jump back to Marvel right now, and you want the highest selling kind of comic book of the next year, have him do a, I don't know, 6-issue, 12-issue, whatever, X-Men comic, shit would be through the roof. That would be exponent, like to get Jim Lee back on X-Men. I bet I would look at that and I would love it. Probably because of childhood nostalgia connected to X-Men and Jim Lee. But why would his art on X-Men excite me in a way that his art on Batman just does not? I don't understand. And this is 100% a me problem. But, yeah, Batman's beating the piss out of Hush. Hush gets a blade out and stabs Batman through the guts, like maybe through the heart. That's pretty powerful. The coloring is really helping with that kind of heavy red. I'm like, oh, damn, Batman got skewered. He says, I'm going to slice your heart out just like I did to your beloved Catwoman. Like, is Selina dead? Because Catwoman was over here, and she takes off. I don't know where she's going. Is this still Selina Kyle? I don't know what's going on there. But they stab him through the heart, and then in the train, I guess, here comes Girl, Now, I didn't know as I was reading this who this is. I'm like, who's this? I'm guessing this is the girl on the cover. I'm sure all of you probably know based on her outfit. It's got a very specific design to it that you know who that is. Is this Talia? I I didn't know because I don't read Batman comics. Stabbed through the gut. She's like, "What have you done, Jason? Not right." He's got a gun pointed at both Hush and the girl, but the girl shoots Hush in the head like a headshot. And whoever the speaky talky guy, it says click and he yells no, and things rumble everywhere. Jason Todd, I guess, is pissed and he starts shooting at her. And so she says, Ubu, a little help here. So that Talia, and that's Ubu. I kept staring at this shot. I'm like, why is he missing an arm? It looks like it's cut off. I was like, oh no, this is the door to the train coming down here. And that's just a cast shadow across his arm. It looks like he's got a severed arm. Honestly, felt like he's missing an arm. But he shows up with the sword, beats the hell out of whoever the giant screamy talky guy is. And Talia, she's like, Jason, stop firing. Think of all we've done for you. Ubu, get Batman to safety. Jason Todd says, you go to hell. You took everything away from me. So Todd is super friends with Hush. Whatever. Again, these are elements that I don't know. And then I guess they take Batman, who's been stabbed through the heart, get him on a train, and they're getting him out of there. It says later. Now, how long can a fucking human being live with a stabbed heart? I'm guessing he was stabbed in the heart. That says he's stabbing him in the heart, and that looks like where it went. I'm guessing. But we're also going to interject some magical element to this stuff, so that counts for something. They're on a helicopter. They're flying way far away. Time is of the essence. They land into some icy area, and Ubu's saying, Ms. Talia, your father would. And Talia says, my father is dead. Bring Batman to me now. So they're going to put him in the Lazarus pit, which Ubu is not having. He doesn't want that. She says, careful, what happens next is critical. And he's like, again, with all due respect, your father would not want him in any Lazarus pit. And she says, you forget your place. Out, all of you. And so she rips open his outfit. I guess she pulls off all his body armor on at least his upper body, and then hits a button and I guess drops him into the Lazarus pit. Now, I am aware of the concept of the Lazarus pit and how Ra's al Ghul is the one that uses this to keep himself eternal and alive. But I don't know the mysteries and the lore behind the Lazarus pit. I really don't. I just know that you dunk yourself in some liquid and you can come back, but it might fuck you up in the head. Something like that. Somebody can explain it. I also am like, is this the first time Batman's ever gone into a Lazarus pit? In the entire decades of history of comics with Batman and the Lazarus pit, this can't be the first time. Is it? I would have to, if I had to be a betting man, I'm like, there's no way this is the first time. But I don't know. Somebody tell me. But they dunk him in there. So now he's under the water, and then I don't know how much time passes. It doesn't say it, but the visuals imply not long. She gets the little lever, lifts him back out. She says, rise, live again, detective. So he's healed, as would happen. I kind of like that shot of him. I don't love this one. But now the question will be, again, you come out of the Lazarus pit. Who are you as a person now? Who is Batman coming out of the Lazarus pit? She says, beloved. She's like, what? And she says, what has happened to you? So he's got a very menacing look on his face. Like, oh God, is he some kind of monster? Is he evil? Is he distorted in his thinking? What is he going to do? He does what I would do. Fucking kisses her. He should pound her right on that Lazarus pit slab right now. Get her. And then that's it. That's to be ended. And I remember seeing somewhere that says that they finally got the final issue of part 1 of Hush 2 out, and it ends on a hell of a cliffhanger. Is this a hell of a cliffhanger? Again, I don't know the lore, so I don't know. Him kissing Talia, that's nothing new. The Lazarus Pit, it's nothing new, but is Batman having been in it? How unique is that? Somebody tell me. Again, the drawing's kind of cool. I like the fold and the shadows on the cape and everything like that, but I I kind like again, I kind of like that drawing. All the drawings are fine. Like again, it's just Jim Lee had some kind of magic when he was younger, but I can't tell you that anything's missing. It's not like he's skimping on backgrounds or perspective or details on vehicles and weapons and clothing. His girls are still hot. His guys are pretty dynamic and powerful. It looks like Jim Lee, but boy, do I just not get excited about it. And I like to get excited about art, but this just doesn't tickle my pickle. Speaking of tickle pickling, look at all these variant covers. Holy shit, there's a ton of them. Lots of variations going on there. And again, if they can get their money from that, good for them. Go beyond Hush 2. So they got a bunch of other stories going on, which great. Explore the Batman universe. Absolute Green Arrow. My understanding is that that stuff is selling really well. All the Absolute stuff, I guess, is apparently. It gives kind of a preview of the Absolute Green Arrow. I don't care. I mean, that art looks pretty good. I'm into that. That's kind of fun. But, you know, whatever. I'm not going to be picking it up or reading it. Barbara Gordon in Breakout. She's in prison. I guess she's not paralyzed anymore. I don't care. Anyway, all the elements are there. Great penciler, great inker, great colorist. Depending on your perspective, good writer, Jeff Loeb. Like, I'm fine with him. Great character, and I don't give a shit. But obviously, I don't collect the stories, so you know that's on me. But artistically, I don't know why I'm just not excited over it. But if this was Cyclops standing next to Jean Grey with Wolverine and Colossus and Gambit in a brand new story drawn by Jim Lee, I would be sitting here giggling and excited and telling you how great is this. I'm 100% hypocrite, guys. I don't know what else to say, but that's all I've got for now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this type of stuff, but that's all I've got. So as always, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.